Good evening, all. FIE's Junkanoo Rush. Feel it in your belly. Good evening, folks. This is V. Charmaine Roll, along with my co-host, Mr. Paparazzi, and my producer tonight, Miss Breon Roll. Brighton should be on soon. Folks, good evening. Good evening. I'm wearing my red glasses. That means Christmas is on the way. It's on the way. Papa, what news we got for this evening, man? What news we got for this?
You always put me on the spot. We have some sad news once again in the Junkanoo community. The passing of one Mr. Ted Sweeting. He was a member of the Valley Boys and a long-standing member of the Valley Boys. And just condolences to his sons, Dominic and Damien, who are also members of the Valley Boys, and to his entire family. May rest in peace. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Folks, just to let you know that beginning of the week, I was Barabbas and the Tribe. Barabbas has this initiative that he has. I think it's like 11 days of Christmas. The 12 days out now. Every night between 7 to 9, he is rushing there on Horseshoe Drive. So if you want to feel some entertaining, some Junkanoo music, he's looking for a little initiative to help the community. He's having a drive with toys. If you have any toys you want to give away, if you have anything that you want to offer, because they plan to feed the homeless on January 1st. But, they're trying to get little gift items and everything to make it as some children, during this time to feel that Christmas spirit. So, folks, all Junkanooers, we're asking you to support it every evening between 7 and 9. I think I'm going to be there again, probably Thursday and Saturday for another couple of days, because on Sunday I went live letting everybody know. And Papa, trust me, boy, that was sweet. That sweet.
How did it work out with the Junkanoos participating in this COVID environment?
Well, what they did is they had a piece of the property blocked off, and they have circle spots where you rush in a circle. So next door to the property, they have a circle spot, and you rush right there in that particular circle. And across the road, you have people that's standing 3 to 6 feet apart. And then if you're driving by, you can pass, you can drive through to witness it also. And also he has Junkanoo World light right up for persons who want to see those Junkanoo lights and stuff. Go and support it. It's a great initiative that he has for our Bahamian people, seeing that we cannot make it to Bay Street. But folks, that's it for the news for the night. And listen, this one is going to be a good one tonight. We have with us persons of administration, and we're going to say Junkanoo from an administrative aspect, I should say. Tonight we have, I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves tonight. We're still waiting on about coming. We're going to start with my past chairman, the person who lead me through this thing and caused me to get dry a couple times, but I still here. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. And those of us in Junkanoo World and streaming live around the world. Brendan Folks, former parade management chairman over the decades, involved with Junkanoo. And Charmaine, thank you very much for the accolades, Ms. Roll. You were a very good student, I must say. You were a very good student. And Charmaine, what I liked about you, I think Patrick mentioned it last week. You were given a task as my deputy, and Paparazzi, she took that serious. I gave her handwritten notes. Boy, Patrick, they used to run from me. I had my little Myra Butler book, my composition book. I was writing down everything, And so, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be here on the program with Charmaine, and I think it's a good thing. She is passionate about Junkanoo. She is passionate about being a Bahamian woman, and she is passionate about her culture. And so persons who are passionate about anything that is Bahamian, I am always there to support them. And Charmaine, thank you for having me.
No problem. Go ahead, our next guest.
My name is Patrick Adley. I've been involved in Junkanoo for a very long time, but was kind of thrust into administration. I was a part of a shack they used to call the Rat Pack. And, you know, we had a shack on Wolf Road, and one particular year, we had a hurricane that caused the roof of the shack to collapse. And when the roof of the shack collapsed, we had to find another venue to complete our costume. And at the time, the cultural center was already completed, but everybody was afraid to go in because Gus Cooper had the keys for it. And, you know, at the time, you know, approaching Gus Cooper was met with fear and trepidation. And so they kind of coaxed me, you know, and I was naive at the time. And they kind of coaxed me to go and ask Mr. Cooper for the key. And so I just simply went. I mean, you know, I wasn't privy to a lot of the stories that they could tell me about one Gus Cooper. But, you know, long story short, he eventually handed over the key. And I've been responsible ever since. Responsible for any number of things, but the last in the last parade, which is the 2019-2020 parade, I was the group liaison and was the representative actually for the JCNP to liaise between the PMT and the JCNP. And so, you know, also being the last past deputy chairman of the Valley Boys, I've been saddled with the task of returning all of the Valley Boys property from Bay Street. And so when persons would be home in their bed after a rush, you know, 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm just getting home because I have to ensure that every single piece of the Valley Boys property is returned on it to its premises. And so I've been saddled with responsibility for many, many years. And I'm just happy to be here tonight to share just a little bit of the knowledge that I've gained over the years serving under both Charmaine and Brandon and other chairmen of the JCNP.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few other guests that we're expecting here tonight. We have the chairman and the both co-chairmen from the NJC, along with Mr. Dion Miller. They apologize for their tardiness. They're running a few minutes late. Actually, last week we had a whole show, but we had some technical difficulties with BPL where the show didn't really record properly. And so we had to come back again this week, hey, folks? But let's make this tonight another exciting night. Brendan, let's start off with you and share with us some of your ideas of your experience from your administrative end towards Junkanoo and how you have seen it change over the years.
Well, you know, we came from the 1x6 layer bleachers with the splinters to where we are with the aluminum multi-tiered collapsible bleachers on Bay Street. I don't think people realize over the years these are some of the logistics, and that came about on my watch. We got the intelligentsia from the police that we needed to start fencing because there were a lot of complaints, Patrick, paparazzi, a lot of complaints, particularly from the females, that people were going on the back and, you know, moving, stealing their wallets and purse and that kind of thing. And so we were able to, I think that 2006, 2007, when we introduced fencing, and it proved to be quite a good safety net for people wanting to come back to Bay Street. You know, a lot of people decided that they ain't gonna bother with Bay Street no more. It's just getting too much of a mess with parking, cars being broken into, and so forth. But all of this is a part of the administration of Junkanoo. If you can't get your clients to come to an event, then you don't have an event. I remember walking all the way up by the post office. So the police said, Mr. PMT, Mr. Chairman, what you doing up here? I said, I'm coming to see where y'all are, because I don't want anybody complaining that their cars were broken into all the way in the post office parking lot, all going to the back of the fire station. Hey, paparazzi, I don't know if you realize how far a walk that is. And our office at the time was at Baypal building, right, Charmaine? Yeah, before we moved on to Frederick Street. And so, you know, these are some of the logistics that behind the scene that that go on and happen. We get our ticket. We get excited about watching our group come out and support them. But this is a very, very mammoth task to manage a cultural event like this. And Patrick, I want to ask you a question. How do each group determine? I'm not involved in the group part of it. I used to rush with Most Qualified back in the day. Charmaine, you would have been proud to see me, girl. I had a spare, paparazzi had a spare, and I had a conch shell. Barabbas fixed a conch shell for me. And when we got to Bay Street, Patrick, I can't remember who that was. I think it may have been Funky the Merit at the time. And he would stand up and do his motion, and I would just leap right over him and land in the splits. Boom! Right in the, yes. And in fact, I have a picture in my office of that, Patrick. You would be surprised.
I don't know if you realize, Brandon, but probably most of the people who is listening and viewing this program don't know nothing but Most Qualified, you know.
No kidding, serious? Wow. That's back in hey, paparazzi, back in the day.
That's a trivia question.
That is a trivia question.
That was Calvin Balfour's group, wasn't it?
Balfour, yeah. John Adley, I think John Adley. Yeah. I think it eventually became the Foxhill Congos. Was that morphed? Didn't morph into the Congos?
No.
No, okay. Yeah. And then, well, actually, Charlie Moss and that crew from Dorchester.
Right.
That's where it came from. It came from Dorchester. Yes.
That's their base.
That was their base. That is correct. Yeah. But I want to ask you a question. Charmaine, let me ask Patrick a question. How do the groups determine what pieces are collected? Like you said, all of us leave, either they rob us or everybody in elation about winning and so forth, they down to Awaki, but you busy trying to collect stuff. How do you determine which pieces go back to the shack? How does that happen?
No, you see, you have to understand that the Valley Boys have some secrets. Okay, we have some secrets, not only in the way that we build, but the way that we paste and the way that we decorate and do certain things. And so, and a part of us guarding that is to make sure that all of our pieces return to home base.
Which makes sense, actually. Which makes sense. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is why I can say in 2020 that and I'm not saying, you know, there are some groups that have a good morning, you know, but more than not, you can't out costume the Valley Boys on any given morning.
Wow. So the concept of modularization, as in modular, you all have that down pat.
I will say this much, and I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back in the days when you remember paparazzi when a fella called Sammy Archer was dominant in lead costume. And even us in the valley, we used to pass Harold Road then all the time. And it was like, how in heaven's name this fella could put such a huge costume on Bay Street, but the shack only so high. The shack only so big.
Modular.
And we were in the valley, and we couldn't figure out how Sammy and Bane Boy them used to do it. And we was in the valley.
Wow.
One little shack they had.
But it's Charmaine, I took a group on the last parade, a group from they were from New York, some students, so university students. And I took them, Patrick, to the back in the hole down at George Street, where the groups were setting up. Because at that time I was fired, so you know I was just being a host, being a host to these folks who came over, and they were, like you said, they were mystified that to see the pieces actually right there, just going up, and boom. And seemingly, you can't see where they're attached. You can't. Only thing you see in the final analysis, they up.
They go.
And you, I suspect that you have mastered. You ain't giving out no trade secrets tonight. Charmaine, he gotten some of his secrets tonight.
No, but there is one, and I have to say this at this juncture, right? But there is one fella that did a lead costume that even today had me mesmerized. You know, a fella called Edward Rat Monroe. He did a costume when he was with Roots.
Okay.
And I remember Rat setting up that costume in Frederick Street. You know, that was before they enclosed that
back
parking lot.
That's correct.
Right in the back of the perfume shop.
That is correct.
And look here, that costume took up just about the whole of the parking lot. And I looked at that costume and I said, I don't know how in heaven's name Rat put that costume together. The costume was huge. I mean, it had 3 stories. And the costume just keep going up and up and up. I in all of my time, and you know, I've done a couple lead costumes myself. But that costume that Edward Rat Monroe built that morning for Roots, that blew me away, because I couldn't even fathom how they even set that up. Red was so huge costume.
Well, Brendan, just to let you know, I have pictures of those students that you took with Calvin Green at the day. I have those for you, so I can try and get them to you.
Oh,
so
good, man. That'll be good.
But what we really to talk to tonight, too, I know Papa have a question. The administrative end, Brendan, a lot of people don't really know what it takes to get that thing happen on Bay Street. From beginning to end, the lighting, the policing end. So let's talk to some aspect of that also.
All right. Well, as you're aware, we have the National Junkanoo Committee, which is the titular body that's in charge. And so that body is then working hand in hand with the now JCNP. So the 2 groups come together to flesh out the rules and regulation of the parade. Now, in modern times, the parade management team, which is a direct arm of the JCNP, they are now in charge of the management of the parade. And so the JCNP doesn't really get involved in the minute details of managing the parade on both Boxing Day and New Year's Day. And so all of the logistics that is required, all of the multiple meetings with the commissioner relative to safety and ushering the groups onto Bay Street. You remember now, there were complaints back in the day that certain groups complained that they couldn't get to Bay and got penalized for not being on Bay on time. And I think you mentioned it earlier off camera that, back in those days, you relaxed that a little bit to allow people a few more minutes to get on Bay, because after 9 months of preparation, man, get the guys a couple more minutes to make their way to Bay. But we've gone beyond that now, because you should have been able to, as Patrick would say, logistically figure that out. Because when you're on the clock, you're on the clock. And to be ready, I think, when was it, Patrick, when a group either deliberately or by mistake blocked off by Dunkin' Donuts and groups couldn't get through? And I caution how I said parade?
That. You talk about that famous parade?
That famous parade.
Yeah. I think that would have been 2018, I think.
Yeah, that was recently at 2018, eh? Paparazzi, yeah, 2018. Yeah. But no one, that never came up as a rule. I mean, we just never thought of, okay, we can't let no trailers come down in the back there. And they took the license of taking a trailer there, and they left the trailer there.
Not only, Brendan, hold on. Not only did they leave the trailer there, See, y'all didn't know what all went. They locked the wheels of the trailer so that it couldn't be moved.
So a wrecker couldn't even.
They locked the wheels of the trailer.
Rather deliberate.
Yes.
And so, Charmaine, to your point, over the decades, we have found different operational issues that have come about. And so every season, there are things that, the manual is this thick to manage Junkanoo on the actual parade days, both Boxing Day and New Year's. But every season, trust me, and I've been around this block a little while, every season there's something that comes up that you didn't think of.
Yeah.
Every season. And so it is, and you just have to be ready. You just have to have your armor on. And I think Patrick said it best last week, and we weren't recorded at the time, but just focus on what you have to do. No horse in the race. Just get out there and manage the parade.
Yeah.
And
2018, when that happened with the trailers, I was in the back there, The trailer,
okay.
I wasn't blocking.
It wasn't? Oh.
Because I was there with my team, with my camera.
So you could still get around groups?
Get around and everything. But it's just, it's a banner. A group brought a banner down. And a banner was blocking one part of it, but the banner was movable. Okay. But nobody was there to move the banner. So it wasn't really trailers that was blocking. It was a banner that was obstructed in a way, but the banner could have been pulled to the side.
All right.
And so if we didn't know that, we would have taped it. But we didn't tape it. We would our rounds, how we normally do. And normally what I do parade, I do a behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
To show people what happens on the back street, because a lot of people don't get to see.
Well, you got that from me, because on those notes, I always told you, yes. This is like running a hotel, and that's my training as a hotelier. The front of the house is the pretty part of everything, man. But the back of the house is where it happens. Because if the back of the house isn't organized, you're not going to look that good in the front, paparazzi. You know what I'm saying? And so, but Charmaine, you're a very good student, because now the the management of all of the side lines, all of the back streets. They are essential, particularly nowadays with these large costumes. And so the logistic of getting with the police to get an outrider, to meet there on time. Patrick, I don't know how you all really manage that. But, you know, I know from our end, as a chairman, my job was to make certain that the police was available for you guys. And you call into the command center, you set a time when you'd like to have them arrive. And I know there are consternations and little quirks and things going on there, because when the police come and the trailer isn't ready and this and that and all these little issues, police getting upset. He said, look, man, I got another pickup I got to go for. And so, you know, you end up having all kinds of emotions rolling, eh?
Yes.
And everybody just wants to get on bay. And so that's the exciting part of this thing. And I enjoy that. I enjoy that excitement. I remember I was taking a break, Charmaine. I was sitting right there where on the, I'll be the northern side, right at Charlotte Street. I was taking a break, paparazzi. I was eating. I was tired. And Rory Sanders march over there. Chairman, you ain't see this? You ain't see that? You need to move over here and go do this. I said, Mrs. Sanders, judges are out there to do that. You're the chairman. You're the chairman. Hey, man, next thing I know, Patrick, I was before the Independent Review Committee. I think God bless the dead, Mr. Adley was the chairman of the tribunal. Paul Adley was the chairman of the, and boy, one found me, had me, they was killing me.
They had you for chalk.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But the tribunal made their decision that the chairman wasn't in my jurisprudence. That wasn't for me to deal with. The judges would pick that up. But there's something, I can't remember precisely what it was, but he wanted me to go and adjudicate that action and that little whatever was going on.
No, that actually two entities on the parade have that responsibility. That's either responsibility of the task force or the penalty judges.
Or the penalty judges. But that's precisely what I told him. I said, look,
and so either one of them now what the JCNP has done, they've given now the Grand Marshal.
Okay.
They have assigned a penalty judge to the Grand Marshal now. And so the Grand Marshal could order a penalty to be issued via the penalty judge, who accompanies him now on the parade.
And that will be as we did in the old days. They will see the penalty, agree on it, and sign it on a ballot.
Well, I don't know, but they're agreeing on it.
But it would be issued. The penalty.
Yes. They have the authority to issue it.
Okay.
If they put up a fuss for you, you find the police.
That is correct.
Police, and you do what you have to do, and they're not supposed to really talk to you.
That's correct.
Because anybody in harm's way. So we always tell you just find your supervisor, and your supervisor will then find the police.
Well, it happened to me. I was the police had to come and part. A couple of fellas coming after me, asked me with my blank bald head, blank what I doing, and blank. I tell them I'm just doing my job, sir. I don't know who the gentleman was from Adam. I said, I'm just doing my job. Well, you don't know Junkanoo and you ain't supposed to be this. I said, sir, and I pull out again, like Charmaine said, boy, Bob Ratty had my notes. I pull out the manual. I said, this your rules, you know. I am only administering it. That's all I'm doing. Page 102 says that you can't do X, Y, and Z. My brother, you just violated this rule. I was trying to explain to him why I had my book. I would load it down with all kind of paper.
Brandon, do you think we have too many rules in Junkanoo? I mean, it seems you have a big book. I mean,
yeah,
it's just Junkanoo.
It is Junkanoo. Yeah. It is time now to condense. I'm not technical enough on the side where Patrick and those guys are in the shack where we have to be I don't know if we have to be that finite. On the competition side, yes, because you want to have it very detailed as to what the judges should be looking for, particularly when you're looking for first prize. I mean, you know, you just have to be better than the next guy to win. I mean, you just have to have that. Now, thought, maybe in New Year's, we do something different. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit this evening, because I think the fun, Paparazzi, I think you bring in something into it, because the fun part of it gets very cantankerous because it's about the competition. And it's about winning at all costs. And that's what a parade should be about, because there's prize money and we need bragging rights. But we may want to look at in the future, and I think, Charmaine, we spoke about this very briefly last week, that we may want to look in the future, and I think Patrick had his list of 10 things he wanted to discuss. So looking into the future, we may want to change New Year's Day parade into a fun parade. And what do I mean by a fun parade? I mean a one-way parade. Now, Junkanooers, put on a new pair of glasses. Give me a white page, clean slate. Give me a new folder, and let's have a paradigm shift with the thought. We can start at the eastern end of Bay Street, somewhere around 601 or down on that end. As you know, from the bridge, parallel, Patrick, is Doswell Street. Doswell Street goes straight down to Victoria Avenue. So you have a few veins where you can come out and come back in for slight resting spots. And Junkanoo will go straight, non-stop, straight down. You get to Bay Street, showtime is still Rawson Square. After you pass, say, the Royal Bank, and that judging, after Rawson Square, there's no more judging. And after that, it is little, and I don't want to use the word because it may get misconstrued. You will then have little, like a carnival kind of just a rush out. You just do a rush out. We had thought at that point that you would have bleachers. You would have, you know, where the judges meet and allow people to go on the bleachers, Patrick. The police would be there. So Charmaine, she dressed up and she got on her pants. Now she is not officially with the group, but after that point, if that is her group, and whoever's administering this will allow her just to go in and rush. And we would rush, every group would straight to Awaki. Awaki then becomes a fete place for Junkanooers. Every Junkanoo group will have their own hut where they will make money. They will sell food, they will sell liquor, they will sell this, they will sell that. They'll have Junkanoo trinkets. It's still gift time. And so the whole week can end up being down there at Awaki, culminating with this just casual rush, one-way rush down to Bay and ending up at Awaki. And so when you get down to Awaki, judges doing their thing, you don't need to go back to Bay Street. When you get to Awaki, they judging, they're doing their thing. You'll know what that at 6 o'clock anyway. And if you stay down to Awaki all day, it becomes a real fete where the buzz is very, very loud, and it's people are having fun. I think we may want to, I've had this on my docket and in one of my reports about a one-way parade. I'd like to see a one-way parade one day. Really like to see a one-way parade.
Yeah, but isn't the Independence Day parade a one-way parade?
Very similar, very similar. But now we're doing this as a part of the see, there wouldn't be a competition, Patrick. What we'll do is we'll just get consolation prize. And so what you do, you move a little of the New Year's money to Boxing Day to bring the prize up, so it gets that much more competitive, because we're only going to have consolation prizes on New Year's Day. It's a little out of the box, and you got to have an open mind to really see whether or not this is something that the persons like yourself who are involved intimately with the group, how do you manage that? We are going to run the risk. We will run the risk that after COVID and things go back to normal, because we have to plan that things will go back to normal one day. As you're now seeing, we got the vaccine, so this thing will fast forward by middle of the year, and God's willing, we will have a parade next year. All right. We will run the risk of having the carnival outdo us at one point. They will be getting more support. They will be getting more popularity. And so we have to figure out how do we get our patrons to participate in Junkanoo, because it is it's non-participatory by the spectators. It is non-participatory, period. If you even try to reach over those barricades, you get knocked over. And there's a lot of turfism there. And clearly, because you don't want your costumes damaged and that kind of thing, and it's all about choreograph and so forth. Yes, there's a deliberate management thing going on. But I think maybe New Year's is an opportunity for us to just try something that's a little downscale. Paparazzi, like you indicated, are the rules. Yes, keep the rules for Boxing Day, relax it completely for New Year's, and basically set up a different criterion completely for New Year's, and take, like paparazzi say, reduce that book, man, and let's just go out and have some fun.
Patrick, how you feel about that, Patrick?
Boy, that's a whole debate. Have some fun.
Yeah.
We've been I guess we've been grown up to think that these two parades are the heartbeat of Junkanoo, and I think we need to ask the question though: are the two parades enough? Are they too much? Do we need more parades? Do we need, and we throw in the question that Brendan raised: do we need two competitive parades? My question is more fundamental, and it's like the elephant in the room.
Yes, sir.
All of Brandon's future thoughts still centers around Bay Street.
That's correct.
My future thoughts, I been nowhere near Bay Street, and so we need to have now a real debate. Should we continue these parades on Bay Street, or should we look for alternative venue?
Well, I think you have to be very careful. Like all festivals around the world,
Yes.
they are a street parade.
Yes.
A street festival. Be very careful.
Right.
Macy's Day Parade is on Madison Avenue for the last 55 years.
Yes.
It is not going to move from Madison Avenue or Fifth Avenue. I think it's Fifth Avenue. It will not move from Fifth Avenue. It is a street festival. So
Right.
we have to, again, with the commission, with Kishlane and Dion and Dwight, maybe that commission can think about just that. So what else can we do then that is out of the realm of the competition that can do just that? And it doesn't have to be, I mean, we did the Junkanoo in June, we tried that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did the Independence Rush.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to what was the festival that was in Saxons had the Saxorama? Saxorama. I was involved with that in the early days. That was in the 80s. And then that, I don't know, for whatever reason, that just fizzled.
It was in October.
Right. We have the Joe Billy.
Yeah.
Is that Joe Billy is still alive, I think? As a
not the Junkanoo aspect of it.
No, that's not. We're talking about the Junkanoo aspect. So that's not happening.
It was cannibalized by Burns House Fan Fest because it was a scheduling conflict. So that pretty much.
But see, there is our problem. We are allowing outside. I say outsiders, and I don't mean outsiders as in foreign, but outsiders to change something that I thought was fantastic. That was a great expression and passion, like you say. Well, so we need more of these going that have a circular motion about Junkanoo.
Right.
And
but my proviso is but off Bay Street.
No, but those are off Bay Street. All of them off Bay Street. I just called.
But Brandon,
is that not correct? But where Joe Billy start? Where did Joe Billy start?
No, Joe Billy start on Market Street.
Yeah, and where does it end up?
Yeah.
It don't end up on Bay Street. It goes
end up on Bay
Street.
Yes. That's my very point.
But Brandon, how do we monetize it? How do we make money from these festivals or these events that we talking about? Are we creating?
Every festival around the world is supposed to be a money. Bay Street is wrong philosophy. Every shop closed down. We are really. That's what I'm saying. Bay Street is the pyramid is upside down. Every major festival around the world is to create economic activity on that route. Follow Carnival. They are doing it quite well. All them vendors along the street, they selling stuff, they doing stuff. But Bay Street is closed. Only thing happening on Bay Street is Junkanoo and by Charlotte Street, and the vendors on the north and south sides selling food. There is no other economical activity going on. None. If it's not a food and beverage related thing, there aren't any of you Junkanooers displaying your craft, selling your stuff. Where's your little tiki hut selling all your stuff? It's Christmas time. With your little bells and things. And we have a lot of Junkanoo craft. You go to a Barabbas place. I mean, another shacks. All right. And so we need to figure that out. Not figure it out. We need to make a change. There is no connection with Junkanoo and the major players on Bay Street. They bought up and they running from us.
They don't want you there, Brandon.
No, because I have 2 stores on Bay Street.
Yeah, that's all right. But they don't want us there. They never wanted us there, and they never kept that a secret.
Well, why do you? Let's go back then. So bring me the genesis of that. Why is that?
Well,
yeah, there you go. All right, there you go. Let me answer for you.
All right.
Look, man. After you get
hold on, Brandon. No, we have caused some of that, right? Granted.
That is correct.
Granted, we have caused some of that, right? But I've look here. They've convinced me, paparazzi. They've convinced me, and maybe I was nearsighted when I was actually on the other side of this pendulum. When I was more a participant than an administrator. But from 2016, when the scales were removed from my eyes, so to speak, yes. Right? And I saw Junkanoo in a different light. What you said, Brandon, actually solidifies my point that Bay Street is not conducive to the commercialization of Junkanoo. It is not conducive for it.
Well,
if we want to fully explore, if we want to fully embrace the commercialization of Junkanoo, it has to take place at another venue. Bay Street is not the venue for that.
But do you think do you think it's too late to engage a small cross section? Again, you know, with these things, everything is baby steps, and you know, not trying to bite off more than we can chew by saying that you get every store to open on Bay Street. But is it now time to sit down with certain entities on Bay Street to say, look, we know why you put down the shutters, because 3 years ago, your front store glass got broken in and some stuff got teeth. Okay, no problem. We understand that. And so you button up like hurricane coming. All right. So how can we start a dialogue with a John Bull, for instance? Let's just use them. That may not be the right example, but let's just use John Bull. How do we go to Mr. Hazelwood and the management of John Bull and shareholders and tell them, look, man, we are going to guarantee you that that whole area right up front, we want all of your stuff out. I don't care. You had your $50,000 diamond watch and everything. We don't worry about that. Ain't nobody gonna break in your place and TV watch tonight. But we want to have an opportunity where there is some movement there, so that people feel that they go shopping. See, this is what happens around the world. Festivals.
Then you have to remove the bleachers.
No problem. No, you have to manage the access. No, you have to move them. You have to manage the access.
The bleachers block the access.
Change the. You see what that big tree is, right? Where the judges have to come through for the marshal to let people on. But don't put a full bleacher there. Put a half bleacher there. So now it's a pathway.
Yeah, but I also don't want you to forget the time that we have these parades.
Yeah. So what? Let me tell you something. You've been down to New Orleans on Bourbon Street, 3 o'clock in the morning. Every Mr. Adley, Miss Adley, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Every jewelry shop on Bourbon Street, Charmaine, is open.
That's all right though. John Bull ain't open up their shop 3 o'clock in the morning.
Say it again.
John Bull ain't open up their shop 3 o'clock in the morning.
No. I'm taking it to the nth degree. Obviously, yes, that is correct. But again, baby steps. Maybe the opening from if we go back, particularly for Boxing Day, if we go back to an early Junkanoo.
Yes.
The 9 o'clock, the 10 o'clock start. We've had some great successes over the years, and we've experimented because of weather, but it worked.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And a lot of parents said that now they can bring their kids out. They can get out a little early. They can see a full rotation. I call it full performance. People keep calling it a lap, but it's not a lap. They ain't going 1, 2, 3. It ain't 3 laps. It is 2 Bay Street performance and 1 Shirley Street. Make sure y'all get the language right. They are 2 Bay Street performances and 1 Shirley Street performance. Let's get it right. They ain't no laps. That they thought of we even ain't got our English right.
Lap and a half. Lap and a half.
Lap and a half.
1.5 laps.
So let's say, Patrick, for argument's sake, and that's why these discussions are very encouraging and to get out the box a little bit. We can say, well, okay, John Bull and Breitling, or a few of them who may be willing to sit down with the organizers, yourself and them, with some sense. All right, and we could choose.
I got a little story I got to tell you now. So Barabbas just inboxed me, said the Royal Bahamas, the police force, visited them tonight prior to the show and advised them not to continue. So they have shut him down. Now the next question he says, they don't want us on Bay Street now, so they don't even want us over the hill no more.
Well, I think Paparazzi had asked the question, how is he managing? I think you asked the very question earlier. How is he managing the protocol? Wasn't that your question, Patrick?
It was.
Yeah.
Or Paparazzi, yeah. So
now it's postponed. I don't know. They're not sure if they're gonna have it because like I tell you, they had it roped off.
Yeah.
They have circles rushing in the spot. and they had persons cross the road. Now I know across the road the persons were 3 feet apart. He had persons making sure. So I don't know what happened yesterday.
Right.
Hey,
Well, I
this-
mean, anything I think from the COVID people, anything where there's any gathering, I guess they just say, look, hold on a minute, forget it, because you and I both know that my brother, once you hear a cowbell and you hear some whistles and some drums, Patrick, it's hard not to commingle, man. It's very hard.
Yeah.
It is very, it's very hard. So anyway, Charmaine, thank you for that. Letting us know what's going on down there on Horseshoe Drive. But maybe we can start with the 8 o'clock and maybe they close at midnight, Patrick, for the 4 hours of some economical activity and for the groups themselves. I don't think any group makes any money on Bay Street. Does any group make any money right now? Is any money making for any group on Bay Street?
No,
none whatsoever.
no.
With this one-way parade, at least when you get to our key, with my scenario, nobody else can be on that park on the grassy side unless it's a certified Junkanoo group where you have your spot, you have your tent, and it's money making. Whatever you're selling, from Junkanoo trinkets to food, to beverages, and so forth. So at least after we have the banquet in February, there's a little cash flow for the group to start the planning, like you said, Patrick. You all start planning from February for next year, for the next season. Your seed money don't come when your seed money come. When seed money reach? Yeah, but there you go. Huh? When it reach.
That coming from the government, then
There you go. And sometimes it ain't till the 11th hour. And don't let it be like how it was in 19 when the then administrators were holding hostage on the money.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But I'm saying this is an opportunity again. It's just I think we need to look at that whole idea of having a real rush as a part of the consolation prize thing.
Brandon, not to cut you off.
No, man.
What about I was thinking just now, what about the what do you think of the marketing aspect of Junkanoo? Oftentimes we have empty bleachers. The locals wouldn't come out on the bleachers, but we have hotels full of tourists, but they wouldn't even come out to the parade. Are we marketing ourselves to tourists, or are we not? Are we doing a good job, or what's the disconnect between getting
paparazzi? Let me ask you a question. What are you marketing? You marketing for me to sit on a bleacher for 1 hour when they ain't coming on time?
Yeah.
No. Now, if you told me that a group of us from New York, I give you a shoulder piece, I give you a head piece, I give you one skate, you can get a little cowbell thing outside the hotel, we can show you how to get a little rhythm. And the 20 you're gonna join me and you're gonna run. Now people will come. But Junkanoo is not participatory. We have it wrong. It's all about us and me and you, and that's it.
Brandon, I wouldn't say that Junkanoo is not a participatory. What I would say is that the parades, the two premier parades,
yes, sir.
the Boxing Day and the New Year's Day parade in its present form,
yes, sir.
In its present form,
yes, sir,
is not conducive to participatory
activity.
And so
Agreed.
several years ago, when I was the assistant treasurer of the JCNP, I could remember Silber and I, we were having a slump in sales, in ticket sales.
Yes, sir.
And we set up a table in Rawson Square.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having some challenges at the different outlets and whatnot. So we set up a table out there and we were selling tickets. And this should have been about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And sitting out there selling tickets to Joe Public, you know, one of the most shocking things that I learned?
No, sir.
I learned that there are many Bahamians paparazzi who have never, ever been to Junkanoo.
That's correct.
Like that was shocking to me.
It's not shocking to me.
Junkanoo. Only so much Bahamians really. we feel like it's a lot because we right in the belly.
Yeah. I said, you mean you've never? You've never? And I say, no. I've never been to Junkanoo. I couldn't believe that. And I'm talking about Bahamian after Bahamian. I tell you, there are many, not few, many.
Yeah, what has happened to us, we have changed. When you and I would be held by our auntie coming over Market Street, coming to the arch with our tight sweater and all that cold weather, and everybody just, you know, making that was a whole movement. That was a whole drive. That was a whole spirit. You're packing up everybody in the house and you're getting ready. And, you know, the senior person in the house getting all the children. And everybody traipsing and lining up, and they're literally going to bed. That's how it was. That's what we did. But because of some of the issues relative to safety and security, you know, some people have just said that they're just not going to bother with it. Watch it on TV. Yeah.
But you know, I would say to that end that the police does a tremendous job at today's Junkanoo. I know, and I always tell people, I always say to people when I'm trying to sell Junkanoo, I say, listen to me. During these parades, Bay Street, that's the safest place on New Providence is to be out on Bay Street. And I think you're more safer on Bay Street than you are in your own house, wherever you are when Junkanoo is going on.
Yeah, and I think, and like you said, owing to the new protocols with the fencing and having restricted zones and so forth and so on, maybe it's time now to get that same thought to some of the private sector people on Bay Street to say, look, man, you know, you don't have. Maybe there was some concerns back in the day. And you know, people were a little bit more flippant, and now we are much more respectful because they're taking no hostages, my brother. Yeah, one little thing I see last time, I see two fellas getting taken for the back of their pants, and they going to Central. All right.
No, the police does a tremendous job out to Junkanoo, and you know, I always say that if they could use a lot of the lessons they learned and just how they deal with Junkanoo,
how they go into the inner city and
transfer that, we wouldn't have a crime problem.
Exactly.
You know, but what I'm saying is that the whole logistics of trying to fit the size groups that we have now, as well as all of the different elements of costuming and the back line and all this, you know, it's a mammoth task to when you look at the Bay Street on paper, it's almost a logistical nightmare.
It is just, you
know, and it's almost a miracle every year we pull it off.
That is correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you would notice now, paparazzi, you would notice every year those barricades seem to be getting closer and closer and closer. But perception is reality. That's the costumes getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what that is.
And also the back lines are getting bigger. The whole thing is getting bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brandon,
so,
a lot of spectators have been complaining about the amount of judges and the amount of persons who stand. I can't say stand. Who be on the road? They stand in front of the bleachers. Then
no, but you're right. They stand in the way of the patrons. They the people who support. They pay in. They in the way. I can't see the show. I can't see the show. You know, we tried to put for the press. We try to organize the press in zones, and I was methodical about trying to do that back in my time. you know, please, guys. And I met with all of them, from Peter Ramsey straight on down to Derek Smith. I said, Derek, please, look, man, y'all, even Mr. Moscow, the Mike Shoe Store, the fellow's always down there taking picture. The Culinaris fellow. I said, look, what we need to make sure y'all stay in, and when you don't just stay one place, you have to move, because the people at the lower end of the bleacher, that view is blocked. Now those above, it's fine, but when you get to the first, second, and third and fourth seat, you're blocking the view clearly. Again, Patrick has a very good point. That's just logistically a big nightmare. Because if that was a different venue, you would not have that problem or that issue. All right. But that being said, we acknowledge that is a street festival. If it is a street festival, then all of the quirks, all of the logistics, all of the uncomfortableness about going on to a street festival, we just have to be better at managing it. That's it. Until such time that I don't take Patrick's view in totality yet, until he could convince me that there is a better venue. But if we agree that Junkanoo is a street festival, then it's going to be on a road somewhere.
Yes, absolutely. On a road somewhere, just not on Bay Street. Okay.
All right. No, fair enough. Fair enough. I know when to hold them and when to fold them. So you're saying somewhere like Dowswell Street is much wider.
Well, I'll just shoot this one over the bar, we say, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm saying that if some certain fellas, if they continue on the path that they're going on, you're gonna see the other venue pop up real soon. You know, like a pop-up shop.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let me help you with this exercise, because I was involved in some of them discussions.
Okay.
And maybe going westbound is probably where we need to go. Paparazzi, I think you got that, eh?
We used the westbound for Miss Universe, and I mean,
yeah,
that was before they had the new roads. But I mean,
yeah,
it worked out fine for me.
So maybe Patrick, you know what? Maybe with the commission with Kish Lane, Dwight, and Dion, maybe it's time. See, the good thing with COVID. Well, I should say the good thing, because this is already December, so we ain't got much time to plan for next Boxing Day. Maybe January, we do a West Bay Street rush, man, and get off Bay.
Yeah. Well, you know,
that's wide enough.
You know, I hear your argument about Bay Street being the city center and all of the major parades happen there, right? And I'm not saying that absolutely no parade could be held on Bay Street, you know.
Understood.
What I'm saying is that
understood.
I think it's time in our Junkanoo development,
yes,
that we seek out alternative sites, because there are any number of issues outside of the fact that the store owners don't want us there.
In the first beginning,
that could prevent us from going to Bay Street.
That's correct.
You know, if you remember several years ago, I think they call it a king tide or something. Paparazzi, you remember that?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
When Bay Street was flooded for no reason, for no apparent reason.
And there was no storm or anything.
No storm or nothing.
No, that's correct. That's correct.
You remember that?
Yes, sir.
And what I'm saying, just like COVID, right? That is something that we never even thought about.
That is correct.
We never even thought that something could happen that caused Bay Street not to be available to us.
And that was a full moon lit evening. Yeah. So you had that's what you call a king tide, and it was a surge, underground surge coming all over.
And the whole of Bay Street was flooded.
From the wharf, from the northern side straight in.
And so yes, imagine that now happening on a Boxing Day morning, or the eve of a Boxing Day.
Trouble.
What do we do?
Can't vacuum it up, eh?
It ain't COVID. It ain't wind. It's outside of all the elements that our rules say that would prevent the parade from happening.
That is correct.
It's outside
Absolutely.
of that.
That's correct. So for that and many other reasons, maybe the one-way parade starts someplace else and still end up at Awaki.
But even you know, we've never even had a conversation. We've never had a conversation to say, well, okay, if something like that happened, then have we examined the one-way parade, where that would go, where it would begin, where it would end, where the bleachers would. We don't look at the logistics of an alternate route or an alternate venue.
Well,
and these are conversations that we should have already had by now.
Had a manual with the minute that happens, we open up a new script.
Exactly.
But the show goes on.
The show have to go on.
The show goes on.
But we've never even entertained such a conversation. This is
I brought it. I don't know. This must at least 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I brought this up about a one-way parade, and again, like you say, with all candid, with everything being on the table, how, when, and why, I don't have all the answers. But I think we need to at least, and that may cause for this new venue, Mr. Adley. You know, this is maybe the one time you try it, give it a shot, and this is now the time to, if the Junkanoo community want to do something different and go into a venue where there's more economical, paparazzi asked the question, what are we going to do? How can we make a little bit more money? We'll make money, period. Because we ain't making nothing now, zero. Zilch. You know, how can we get the economics?
Now, let me share some ideas with you, right?
You got that list of them 10 points. With them 10 points you had last week.
They right. See, they right here. See them. They right here.
All right. But I'm going to stop talking and listen.
And one of them actually the top one is venue, and which we have debated for quite a while. But you know, if we're going to, I want you to think of this for a moment as Junkanoers, right? Imagine now after COVID, okay? You have a lot of us Junkanoers are now unemployed. A lot of us not even going that far, looking that far. A lot of us right now in the next week, I mean, we walking around like zombies. I mean, we lost. We don't know what to do. I mean, it's like I don't even know how to behave in this environment. You know, like I always believe like I forgetting something. You know, like I like every time I looking at my watch and I think I'm supposed to be somewhere. But
you lost.
It's like I don't know what to do. And so I believe that what we should be looking at as Junkanoos, just like how the world had to press a restart, I think that this is an ideal time for Junkanoo to press a restart. And I think we should have had conversations about every aspect of the parade. We should have had the time to look at it critically, to analyze it and to dissect it and take a more futuristic look at what we now do. And I think when we emerge in 2021, we should present a brand new product on Bay Street. I don't think the public will judge us harshly if we return to Bay Street in 2021 with the same old. It gotta be different. It gotta be different.
If not, maybe transform is maybe a little drastic for 1 year, but at least with some changes.
With some changes, yes. I'm not talking about a total eclipse, if you will, but I'm saying that they should see a change in the product. they should see a noticeable change in the product and in the way we execute the product. And I think if that does not happen, then we haven't learned anything from COVID. We haven't learned anything.
Agreed. So what else on that list now? That's Charmaine, I getting back to that list.
I want here too.
Well, you know, I can go into the parades more specifically, but I will just see this generally that
Right.
we need to place more independent people, and we go back to the days of the Jeff Lloyds and them.
Yeah.
More independent people running the parades, because and I said this in our first meeting, that it appears that everybody has an agenda.
That's correct.
And there are a few that take on responsibilities, and their aim is to fulfill their responsibility. You know, you still have persons who show up there, and their aim is to execute somebody else's agenda.
That's correct. No,
And that's all they do there all night, is ensure that somebody else's agenda is fulfilled
and carried out.
And I have always said, and we have always said, from the Valley Boys perspective, do your job.
No, that's correct.
Do your job.
Yep.
If you do your job, at the end of the day, we don't have to be bickering and protesting, and just do your job.
Boy, paparazzi, when they had that tribunal with me, I picked up a Saxon's hat. Someone dropped it, right? And I picked that up by accident. Boy, Rory again on my case. See that? He pulling for the Saxon. See, the chairman got on the Saxon hat. They can't separate that. Look, I could put on that hat and I could still be neutral, my brother. I like Patrick said, I have a tunnel vision. I know what I'm doing. I know what my job is out there. I know what I'm supposed to do out there. And I'm only out there to administer the rules and to get a smooth running parade. That's all. I don't care. I walk on the side of a costume. I take a look. I say, yeah, that looks nice. And boy, that could be, you know, that ain't what I'm there for.
And you know, one of the saddest things, right? You could witness. You know, I'm a member of the Rules Committee, and not only am I a member of the Rules Committee, I'm involved in any number of subcommittees in the JCNP parades as well.
Right.
You know what the rules say.
Yes, sir.
I'm also a part of formulating the job description for each of the personnel, if you will.
That's correct.
The job description of the Grand Marshal, the Deputy Grand Marshal, the
Right.
PMT Chairman, and right down the line. I know what their responsibilities are. And when you stand up and you go on Bay Street now, I'm on the administration side now, and you walk down in the hall, and you see the fella down there, and they doing all manner of foolishness. And you look and you say, well, I mean, like, they following the same rules that it can't be.
Can be.
It can't be.
Yeah.
It can't be.
And this is why I think again under our watch we had more independence, no horse in the race, and I think you need to have more private people involved. You can't be the designer, you can't be the marketing, you can't be the ticket collection. You all want to be everything. JCNP wants to be everything. You know, and at one point you're going to have to realize that you need a full management, private management group to just deal with that. They report to somebody at the corporate level, so to speak. And you know, that's where that's my view. And I see Dwight is.
Let me share this thing that you all may not be aware of, right? In 2019, it was 2019 Boxing Day, right? A group was delayed, and we could debate the delay, but let's not debate why they was delayed, right?
Right.
But I sat right at the gate, and the Grand Marshal called every single filler to make up the time. And do you realize that he ran out of fillers?
Wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine. Yes.
You could imagine that.
No, sir.
Well, I'd like to introduce, we have one more panelist tonight, Mr. Doc Marshall was a bit late, but he's here. So let him do a quick introduction. Go ahead, Dwight. Unmute your mic, please.
Sorry about that. Good night. Sorry about the lateness, but I'm Dr. Dwight Marshall, one of the co-chairs for the National Junkanoo Committee. Been in Junkanoo since I was 9 years old, basically. So I kind of grew up in it. Learned a lot of the things I learned early on from being around the Music Maker Shack. Although coming up, we were Saxons, but the area where we lived, my uncle was a builder for the Saxons. And we weren't allowed to go all the way to Mason. So we kind of hung around the Junkanoo group that was in our immediate area. So that's where I learned a lot of stuff. But as I got older, I was able to go further away from home. Then we started hanging around, the Saxon Shack. And then I went off to school and would come home to Rush. And, I sort of got embedded with the Saxons. 5 years ago, we formed Genesis. I'm one of the founders for the Genesis Junkanoo organization. So I've been able to experience Junkanoo from that level, as well as the administrative level, dealing with Genesis, dealing with the commandos with Angelique McKay. I'm the managing director of Commandos, and more administrative experience, and also now with the committee with UNESCO, trying to do some other things with Junkanoo on the international scene. So I've been able to get a all-around view of Junkanoo from the shack straight to the executive boardroom, if you want to look at it like that. But glad to be here. Sorry for the lateness again. So I'll just participate with everybody else.
We had a good conversation last week. So a lot of things that we spoke about last week, we just continuing on this week. And, I cut Patrick off heat, man. Patrick was hot just now. But we're going to continue the conversation. Dwight, let you get included in what we were talking about. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, as I was saying that, during the 2019 parade, because of the group's delay, the Grand Marshal tried to use all of the fillers that he had available, and like I said, he ran out. And so when you're having a parade of the scale of Junkanoo, and you run out of fillers, you get that equals frustrated fans, disappointed fans, and a whole lot of headache for the Grand Marshal.
Absolutely. Yep.
My thing is, right? You would have thought that after all the years that we've been doing Junkanoo, that we would have a production team to produce a parade. That's the level that Junkanoo should have gone to by now. I remember several years ago, I went to see an NBA game in the Miami Heat arena. And if any, and I'm sure all of you on the panel have done so, right? It is entirely different sitting in the arena watching the game than when you watch it on television.
Right.
It's a totally different ball game.
Right.
But have you ever drew the comparison between the NBA game and Junkanoo? Like, why can't Junkanoo, why can't we produce a parade of an NBA standard and quality after all this time? Why can't we do that?
Because, as you said in the beginning, you all love chaos. You all in one organization. You all want chaos.
I put it to you. I put it to you that if we're ever going to embrace the commercialization of our craft, that is the level we got to attain.
Yeah.
Because that's where the money is.
See, there is a philosophy. Hey, Dwight, there's a philosophy with all of these events, and they are events to make money.
Right.
The going to the football game is only the $35, $40 ticket. That's all that is. The rest of it is $100 and something more dollars you spending for chips, nachos, hats, more time. You think halftime? You think halftime is just to say halftime? No, that's to get that concession to make $100,000 in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, but we aren't doing that.
But we have to put the framework in place if that's the goal, right? We have to put the framework in place. And we have so many people who are holding on to what Junkanoo was, and we don't want to change that. And you know, that's what's holding us back. People are so impliable when it comes to just exploring those different avenues of Junkanoo. They want to hold on to the tradition, and they don't want to do anything differently, and we just going to pay because we won't win. So everything surrounding that is just basically neglected. You know, people don't even, they don't want to put the framework in place for that to even be a possibility.
You know, if we change the paradigm, right? And we take a different look at Junkanoo. Every single group would I think first prize is what, $48,000, $50,000,
45, eh?
Every single group could be walking away with that kind of money.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I mean, and that's just your appearance fee.
That's correct.
That's just for you to appear.
Yeah. You know, I saw there was something. I get so excited, Paparazzi, you asked me about the economical aspects. So many themes are out there that after a costume is under construction in the first part of the half of the year, June or May, June, or as you're getting into that theme and developing it, we're supposed to be going out to those countries. Someone did the where's the place in Africa where there's the wildlife is who brought that theme out a couple of years ago?
Everybody.
But more recently, but there's a name of a Serengeti. So why didn't we go to Africa? No, you may take this a little far-fetched. Why haven't we gone to Africa? Those costumes being preserved and taken to the Serengeti in some kind of form or fashion, as we did when we went to Edmonton. We took modular costumes. That's how I was able to get them in that 747. All right, from Nassau to Detroit and then on to Canada. But why aren't we thinking like that? All of these themes, we have Chinese themes. Why is the Chinese ambassador not commissioning those 4 or 5 big pieces for 50 grand? And just like Patrick, his responsibility is after the parade, while you're all home, When you're going out to doing all, he still have to get them things back to the shack. But wouldn't it be great to know that it's going back to the shack to be preserved and to be put on a plane and to be sold for $15,000 and $20,000? Wouldn't that be great?
I don't think nobody ever tried that, you know. Nobody never tried to sell the costume on eBay after the parade. I mean, that's just an idea. I mean,
well, I put it out there tonight then. How's that, paparazzi? I put it out there tonight. I get my commission for the first one that gets sold, okay?
Look, the idea it's been floated. The idea has been floated. Like nobody really acted on them. But these things should be presented to these people that you're talking about before the costumes are even completed.
That is correct.
The idea of
Absolutely.
producing a costume and have them invest in that from the time they're producing that costume. So you know that once that's you're done with that at the parade, the only thing you're doing is doing the repair or whatever you have to do and packaging that and shipping that to where it has to go.
And there's no different from a Picasso painting or a famous artist being commissioned to do a painting. And you have an idea what it is, but you don't know what the finished product is until he's finished. But you already put your deposit down to commission a piece. And as Dwight is saying, now the artist, the builder, or the team of builders for that costume is saying, now look, hold on a minute, my brother. Y'all ain't messing this up. Even when this get on Bay Street, this have to go to Japan. And we now are going to take pride and ownership of that, because wherever that's going in a museum or wherever that's going to be, I mean, all of these things that we've done over the years with cars and you know, all, I mean, some of them with, I can't remember, someone had a Volkswagen out there one time, half cut out and all kind of things. And that Volkswagen should have had that in their showroom in Germany. As a for instance.
So what about though, Brandon and paparazzi? What about us having a parade? Let's say in at the end of June, okay, and then all of the costume from the previous year could be exhibited, but you market it in such a way where the tourists coming here during that period, their primary focus is to first see that parade that is held at the end of June, and secondly, get a Junkanoo piece to take with them.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, now you asked paparazzi in the very beginning, you know, why are we making no money in Junkanoo? So now we're having some thoughts about how can we now start to do that. All right. We had in my day, myself and Ronald Sims, along with Higgins, back in the day, we managed the boutique on the dock as a part of the money that Chris Blackwell donated. Al Colley and we managed that. And so every group was to, they had a section there to display all of their Junkanoo trinkets. And I mean, all manner of trinkets were displayed in there. I don't know where we're selling Junkanoo trinkets anymore.
We're not.
Okay, well, there you have it. Yes, sir.
We're not.
Yeah. And that's sad. That's very sad. Yeah. But again, all the wheels are not off the wagon. She wobbled a little bit, but all the wheels are not off the wagon. And so these kinds of discussions, and thanks to Charmaine and those other persons who are keeping the dialogue going with their different shows relative to Junkanoo. Hopefully, you know, when Dwight and Charmaine, and Kishlane and Dion formalize this commission, maybe this is the nucleus, Dwight, that can bring all of this together, so we can have a constructive, nonpartisan view as to what paparazzi asked earlier. Folks, man, you got to start making some money on this stuff. It's all good to go around and have some fun, man, but we ain't making no money.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you.
I want you to realize this though, Brandon, that is a conversation we need to have even in Junkanoo, because
Okay.
there is a conflict that's going on in
Fair enough.
Junkanoo.
Fair enough.
And the
Fair enough.
conflict is that see, a lot of people want to continue with the tribalism.
Yeah.
Because to them that's their drive. That's what keeps them alive. And they can't see Junkanoo without the tribalism, you know. They just can't see it.
Yeah. It's almost a motivating factor, is it?
Yeah, they can't see the commercialization at a level where you could still be Saxon, I could still be Valley, you could still be Genesis, but at the end of the day, we sitting around the table discussing how much did you gross this year? How much did you gross that year? How much you made on paraphernalia? How much you made? They can't see that.
Yeah. So how do we? I guess it is this kind of discussion, and certainly the avenue of what Dwight, Kishlane, and Dion are on with the commission may be the right. I mean, I call it a secretariat. I prefer to use that term, but it's the same difference. And you know what, Dwight? After we finished last week, you know, I drove around by Morrow Castle, only because we brought the name up last week,
Right.
and it is sickening. It is sad. Sad. It's sad.
Derelict, yes.
It is sad. Do you know that is also an infrastructure of a castle?
Right.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Because you know, we've heard the concerns also about, you know, when people talk about tribalism, what drives the Junkanoo to go to Bay Street. And some people seem to think it's all about the competition, totally about the competition.
Yeah.
If we didn't have somebody calling the prizes, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, however, do you think that would lessen or kill the participation in the parades?
Well, before you came on, I spoke about consolation prize, and we just having one parade to have some fun, man. Before you came on, it's ironic.
Right, but do you? Because some people seem to think, oh no, you know, you can't do it because that's the only thing that drives them, right? But we have street parades during the season, the same amount of turnout, right? And it's still bragging rights, because inevitably somebody can say who music is down the best, who girls look the best.
Because there's always a competition, Dwight.
Anyway,
There's always a competition. Always.
Right, but I'm saying, even within a festival setting, right? Even if it wasn't for an official prize.
Prize, right?
Bahamians, the Junkanoo people love Junkanoo. We would go there and rush right, because we don't have it this year. We would go there and rush right now for nothing.
That is correct.
That's correct.
That is correct.
And large number, but nothing at all.
That's correct. Absolutely.
So I don't think the competition, when people saying, "Oh, you know, that's the only thing we have," I don't think that's what it is. That's in you. That's in you, and you'll do it regardless.
Well, when you say competition, and when Patrick answered you, well, that's the competition now. Well, competition for a prize, or just to compete is the word.
Yes.
To compete, but not for a prize, right?
You have these guys having huge debates over who is the best tom-tom drummer, who is the best bass drummer, who is the best bella. No prizes ever go up for that. That's so subjective. We just love arguing with that stuff.
So, yeah, indeed. But you know what, Dwight? Doesn't that speak to the passion of this great cultural expression of ours? Doesn't it?
Now all we got to do is convert that into some, yes.
But what I'm saying to you though, Dwight, this is what I'm saying to you. Okay. I'm saying to you that the people who talking that kind of talk, they can't convert over.
But that's a challenge. That's a problem. That's a problem.
They can't convert it.
Convert to what? No, they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do it.
No.
No, they're not gonna do it.
No,
But I
that's
don't
what
even
I'm
think,
saying.
I don't even think they're concerned about doing it. They ain't turn down the money that they can make from it. They never turn down the money. But that's where I think Brendan talking about the secretariat and we talking about the commission comes in, because you put that body together to be able to make that conversion for Junkanoo
For them, yeah.
and show them where they benefit from it.
Yeah. And so, Patrick, maybe that is where that's maybe where we have the opportunity, you know, because with the commission, then when we get a concession from a Junkanoo technocrat or an artist, the commission telling him what to do, and at the end of the day, he's getting X amount of dollars.
Right.
And he's not worrying about the tribalism thing, because the tribalism thing should, in my view, should still stay, but that's only on Boxing Day.
Right. Right.
Yeah, right.
'Cause that
Let's
person
leave it
in
there. Leave
charge-
it there. That's fine, and we need to still have that for Boxing Day. Yeah.
Like you say, the person in charge has one job. He only concerned about doing one thing.
One job. Yeah.
One, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's
He ain't
it.
in no competition. He has
No.
one job he has to do,
That's correct. Yeah.
make that conversion. That's all he concerned about.
So let me ask you, Dwight, how far are you on, Kishlane and Dion, how far are you on with this whole commission concept
Well,
idea?
Well, the paper was already done
Yes.
since last year. It was
Okay.
completed last year,
All right.
and by a member of the NJC. Although there was another paper that was already in existence, and there's already framework to be able to convert it to what we need to convert it to,
Okay.
because you have the festival commission that already exists, right?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
But Brian Adley did a wonderful job with the assignment he was given, and it's already there. Now, the challenge was, and when we got feedback, was that they didn't want to create another commission
Okay.
that was
I see.
basically just there.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So that's where.
I mean, you have the NJC already. Now you're gonna have a commission, then you got the JCNP.
Yeah, but everything would fall under the commission. You know, there was no talk of even, you know, have the JCNP or the NJC existing. Like my passion for it, I don't need to be the chairman of anything.
Okay.
I want Junkanoo to advance. So we got to find the best person to lead this, not necessarily a Junkanoo person, but somebody with that.
And probably not a Junkanoo person.
Right. You need a business person who understands the business of this thing and how to make that conversion.
Yeah.
We could have representatives from the two bodies under a different label, right? We could have one label just to cover all of that, but then there's so many different branches of the Junkanoo thing that needs to be developed that we need, you know, professional representation so we could realize our potential.
Well, you know,
you know, the title don't do justice.
yeah. Well, you know, successful philanthropic groups and major corporations who are making billions of dollars. This is why they attract directors with a certain caliber and a certain ethics, and they're able to. Yeah. That's what you need to be. That's how you have to do it. You start pulling people who have integrity, who know where to go for money, who know where to find money, who could go and have a cocktail party and still have a Junkanoo thing going on at the same time, kind of thing. Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have the room filled with multi-millionaires who ready to invest in this thing. So yeah, that's what you need.
That's That's exactly what you need. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
So, gentlemen, my wife has just arrived.
Uh-oh, gotta go.
So, well,
We're about to close right now. So it has been such a wonderful night. And Dwight, you missed a lot. You could always go back and watch.
I'm going to watch this, definitely.
Great conversation. I'd just like to let the Junkanoo know that Barabbas, Junkanoo will close down tonight by the police. And so we're not sure if he's going to continue the 11 days of Christmas. We're going to keep you posted to that to let you know. Just a little something to keep Junkanoo alive. Him raising some funds also to help some of the kids and homeless in the community. So I'll give some feedback. I probably will do a lot when he comes back on with it. Tonight, I also have some information from Sweet Emily, who has a single out that's called Junkanoo Anthem. It's played on Beaming or Nothing. It's played quite a few. I've listened to it before. She says you can find it online at Spotify or on most of the streaming sites. So that's why I've been listening in and chiming in a lot. We have a lot of people that were commenting early on tonight also. Now we are leading into the one more week out of Christmas, so we are not sure. I think this probably will be our last Zoom until next year January, but we still will be doing a lot of lives per se. We were trying to do close out with 2 with you guys here to follow up because we had so much information that we were trying to get out from the administrative end. We, like I say, we still have some lives that will be going on. We'll decide in the next 2. I think we have another 14 days or so leading out to Junkanoo. Every morning I have been posting. I don't know if you guys been seeing it in your chats. Countdowns along with the Junkanoo sayings.
Right. Quiz.
Got them, and I have been sending a lot of things out every day just to keep the Junkanoo spirit going. So we've been doing this here, Brendan. We've been doing this basically from about I've been doing actually, Papa and I, from about March, just trying from we've been locked down from COVID, consistent day, every day, just doing something. So we
good.
the break from Zoom itself and just continue on with 1 or 2 lives, and especially Boxing Day, we can do something. We got to do something. Something cracking and going. But the conversation like tonight, like I say, was great. We have a lot of people that we still have to bring on for the Zooms. I've contacted a lot of people, but I think like we already going to take a break going into Christmas and start back again fresh for January. But definitely, like I say, we're going to be doing some lives. And we asked the Junkanoo, everybody Boxing Day morning to start at 12:01 that night. They're going to start at Barabbas, I think. Go to the pit road, like everybody in different parts of Nassau will be outside their house doing something Junkanoo, so we can get that Junkanoo spirit. Guys, any closing you want to say before we close out, Papa?
Nah, I get. I just thank everybody for coming out. It's been very informative as usual, and we gotta get Patrick to go through the rest of those points again. Cause I think we're gonna make 2 again tonight.
Yeah. I think he has about 7 more on the list to go through. Yeah. Well, I just want to wish everybody a very, very pleasant Christmas and a prosperous New Year, and hope in the new year, Charmaine, that we would continue this and for the betterment of our great cultural expression called Junkanoo. Thank you.
Definitely will. So, Patrick, how much more of them stuff you got on that list?
Well, we may have covered a couple of them indirectly.
Yes, we covered quite a few of them indirectly. But I mean, all of the major points we've touched on. But I see a future that's very, very bright for Junkanoo. And the only thing I want to leave with Junkanoos out there is that we have to 2021 is a year of difference. We have to do things differently. Okay, and I believe that if we embrace COVID and all the lessons that came out of it,
yes,
we have to realize that in a moment things could change into something that you may not even recognize anymore. That's and correct. So this is a important cultural expression that we have in our hands, and I think we need to do all in our power to preserve it. But I think 2021 should usher in a whole year of difference. We need to do things differently.
All right, Mike, you have anything to say to that?
And I totally agree with what Patrick just said. Compliments the season, everybody. If we don't get to come back on live and do another one of these before the new year. Do something Junkanoo. Like Charmaine said, do something Junkanoo. Big shout out to Barabbas and the things that he did. You know, yeah, he was shut down and everything else. But we doing this for our ancestors. This is an African thing. They speak to us, right? So we represent for them. Slavery didn't destroy them. They still did what they had to do. So COVID ain't gonna destroy us. We going into the new year, united. And like Patrick said, doing things a different way. The possibilities are endless. So do what you need to do, Junkanoo wise, to represent Junkanoo, even in the lockdown. And next year, bigger, better than ever.
Okay, gentlemen, again, I'd like to thank all of you from FIE's Junkanoo Rush for taking time out of your busy schedule. The conversation has been long, but it's been very, very interesting, and I've learned so much tonight. Again, every time we have a guest on, Papa and I, we talk about how much information that we can give out there to the public, because a lot of persons, and I wanted to mention early on that a lot of Junkanooers only know one thing. They only know Junkanoo. Some of them might not be able to read or write or do other things, but they know some trade of Junkanoo, so they could use it. And that's where I think the tribalism comes in, because then their ego becomes a part of what they're doing to make sure that people may not know, they may not have the educational, standards of many persons around them, but they have a trade, a tool, which is Junkanoo. Okay? So again, folks, tonight, everybody be safe. Papa, you and I are going to be doing some lives. We probably may not be doing Zooms, but definitely we're going to be doing some lives leading up to it and going around to the different places, just making sure that everybody know the Junkanoo spirit is still alive. We may all be different, but at the end, we are still all one thing, and that's Junkanoo. Good night from FIE's Junkanoo Rush. Feel it, your belly.
Belly.
In your belly. All right, night, night.
Night,
Good
night.
night, everyone.